Yeah. And I have just an interesting fact or statistics. I don't remember the exact numbers, so it will be like approximate numbers. But when they asked like men and women, when they compared like with how much confidence they can say like they can handle a task, if a man thought like he can do, like there is 3% chance that he can do it, he would say, yeah, I can do it. But for women, it had to be like 87%. They must be confident, at least 87% that they are able to do it, and only then they will say, yeah, I can, do it.
Do
Maybe
it,
the
right.
percentages were like a little different, but they were like around there. And my mind was like blown away, and I'm like, yeah, that's so true. Actually, when I think about the people who I interact with and myself,
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, I like, if I say I can do it, it's because I'm almost certain that I can. It's not like, oh, I'll figure out, I'll see. No, no, no. It's my word, and it's my reputation, so I don't want to just,
Right, ruin it.
yeah.
Hmm. I think that's really true. I find that very interesting with our male counterparts. And please don't get me wrong, I love men. I think there's so many wonderful things about men. Big fan of men. So this is not to say, this is not to pit one gender against the other. I'm not a believer in that. However, I do find it interesting, whether it's genetics, whether it's cultural, whether it's I have no idea what you said. I've never read any such statistic, but certainly from experience, it is funny if a new idea is presented in a room with men or women. Men barely have to, they start immediately thinking about like the engineering part, the logistics, that type of thing. And women will, the first thing they do is think, oh, can I really do this? Whereas men never have that layer or the obstacle. Well, I don't know what it is, and where it originates from. I just know it's present and it's there. I would love that, to not have that obstacle and
Right.
immediately go, okay, so we're going to build this house and it's going to have these 6 rooms. And where I'm standing over at this plot of land going, oh, I don't know if I don't know. This house project is so big, and who's going to live in it? Is anyone even going to want this house? All of this that I
The
have to
detail
dig
part.
through in order to get through the fact that no, of course I can build a house. Like that's not. So it's interesting you mentioned that the differences, there's advantages and disadvantages. But
Mm-hmm.
one of the biggest advantages of being a man is they don't have to go through this, cut through this really hard layer of self-doubt. They can just, I'm not saying that men never experience self-doubt. I think it's in other areas. But as you said, when it comes to kind of, the ideas or the self-growing or the are we okay in ourselves, men don't seem to have to tackle these issues or wrestle with this mindset, whereas women do. In this 80%, I have to I have to be able to sink my teeth into 80% to even say, yeah, okay, I can probably
Mm-hmm.
accomplish that. 80%, that's a huge number.
Yeah.
So,
I don't think men are, well, I'm not a male because I know I see you little spammers over here just spamming. Men are supposed to be protectors. So I don't feel like the details of what goes on in a household or whatever, they don't need to worry about that. As females, we are like the nurturers. We are the soil of the family. So anything that the man brings back from them hunting, I'm just using that as an analogy, like we are the ones that's cleaning it, cutting it apart, cooking it. We have to worry about like the details. So our brains are just like totally wired. I know one of my clients said this phrase because I was asking him because I needed to pick his brain for my book. They are more worried about risk versus rewards. I'm only grabbing this because of what he said. Versus the females, like we will nitpick a situation down to the T. But men is like, yeah, we could do it. it's like a risk for like what's the risk of this project and what's the reward of it. They don't care about the details. Their
So
brain doesn't go there.
do you think the self-doubt then that we have to cut through is in the fact that we start populating all of these details and we see the details of it, and the self-doubt comes from, oh my God, how are we going to make all this? Whereas men don't see the details. So for them, it's like, yes, project or no project.
I think the self-doubt comes because a lot of times women pride themselves on beauty or how smart they are. Like all these characteristics kind of just carry them through life. So when you kind of just breaks
Mhm.
that down, that just breaks down your mental and how are you going to grow from that? Because that's what a lot of the times women are moving forward with their jobs when they're in a relationship, when it's like it's in whatever part of the relationship versus a male. When do you ever hear a conversation about a male having self-doubt? Like the conversation is about who has power, who has money, who has the most women. It's not much conversation about self-doubt. Self-doubt is kind of just glued to women and girls and not really men.
Mhm.
If it's men, maybe it's like, oh, I'm having self-doubt talking to a female. I'll see that a couple of times. Not saying that it doesn't happen for them, but the conversation around male is always about dominating, who has power, who has money, no matter what country, no matter what race. I just feel like the different roles for women is polar opposite to males. Um, yeah, I just think it's just totally different.